Hello YouTube, Proxy here bringing you some more MMO content, and today's offering is the legendary Bless Online killer, Warlords Awakening. Okay, I'm just kidding, everyone knows Bless Online is in fact killing itself. But let's take a look at what this MMORPG is and what I think of it. So the publishers Play With have invited me to come play the game prior to release and give feedback on various features in order to improve the game prior to release. And on top of this, they've given me stuff to give away, so I'll talk about that towards the end of this video. In fact, if you want, I'll put a timestamp and you can just skip towards the end if you're just interested in the giveaway and not in my opinions. So what is Warlords Awakening? Warlords Awakening is an isometric action MMORPG filled with a decent selection of PvE content as well as some PvP content as well. This game once launched under the name Elite Lords of Alliance, which honestly was a frigging terrible name for a game. And while LOL was initially popular, it fell quickly into ruin due to Webson's management of the game and their pay-to-win antics. The game is now being launched by publisher Play With, who hopes to revive the game and make significant improvements to the game over an early access period, and Warlords Awakening will be sold over Steam in a couple of packages. Early access will begin this month with a planned full release in October-ish. The game features 5 classes and 4 races, however some classes are race locked or limited. You can choose from the Blood Knight, the Mage, the Sniper, a Psychic, and an Assassin. For the purpose of testing, I made an Assassin simply because they get a scythe as a weapon. Speaking of weapons, each class gets 3 weapon types, and you can switch freely between them in combat. In the Assassin's case, they have a dagger, claw, and scythe stance. And each stance has its own set of unique skills, which they have their own independent skill trees to boot. During testing there was a small delay on stance switching, but Play With has been informed and with some adjustments would love to see the combat become a little bit more fluid and fast paced. Also to note, while recording the combat I was also playing from Europe, playing on an American server, so naturally there was going to be some lag delays. However, Play With have also mentioned that they will be releasing a European server on release, which is good news. And to continue the subject of combat, the combat itself is actually pretty decent. It feels very action orientated, you get a decent selection of skills to use, and at no point did I feel I had too many skills or too few. Alongside the ability to switch weapon stances, you can also go into an Awakened Warlord mode using F4, which you can either set to be automatic or manual. I eventually made it manual. In this mode you become faster and have higher stats, etc, etc. It's generally something that's intended to be reserved for bosses or unique bosses, though when you're grinding or just farming mobs for various resources, you can just set it to automatic and forget about it. Now combat is something that is quite important to an MMORPG, and this game's combat ain't too shabby. If Play With can make some small tweaks here and there, I can see it being quite popular among those who love a good Eastern MMO. Now, the story within Warlords Awakening does not explain itself very well initially and involves more than just watching cutscenes to get the grasp of, and may involve reading tedious amounts of text. However, at a certain point within the game you'll eventually visit the Twisted Realms, which offer more insight into the game's story as well as giving you some scenarios to play through. It's not a huge feature, but it's something nice to actually flesh out the story and help you understand it a little, as the cutscenes kind of mention character names and you don't have a clue who they are really. So I wouldn't say the story is particularly bad in any way, it's just poorly explained. Graphically, the game is anime stylized, which a lot of Eastern MMOs do, with plenty of boob jiggle and cleavage on display, as it seems to be the trend with such games. Some of the spell effects look pretty decent though, and you can definitely tell the game has some age on it, but the anime-esque design helps hide that. The pet system is decent. You can find eggs in game from a multitude of sources such as enemy and boss drops, sometimes achievements, and the pets will follow you around in their tiny form, and some of them will morph to your size and allow you to ride them upon activation. They will also provide a small stat bonus to boot and the option to evolve and upgrade them as well. The music score is varied, quite pleasant to listen to, but certainly isn't memorable in any way, shape or form. Warlords Awakening does offer, however, a decent amount of dungeon content and even raid content later down the road, and with Play With raising the level cap to level 50 and adding oodles of more dungeons and raid content during early access as well, it should take a significant amount of time before PvEers start twiddling their thumbs out of boredom. The dungeon content itself consists of some trash mobs and some enjoyable boss fights that often involve dodging a huge amount of attacks while trying to do some damage whenever the opportunity presents itself. The boss fights are very action orientated and don't rely on any kind of trinity system whatsoever. The leveling process is pretty straightforward. You move in an almost linear direction of quests, progressing from one zone to the next, sometimes stopping for the odd side quest or repeatable quest, and you can also just choose to mindlessly grind if you wish to do so, although questing certainly seems to be faster overall. So the game certainly offers the PvE fanbase a chunk of content. But what about the PvPers, you say? There will be 1 vs 1, 2 vs 2, 3 vs 3 and 4 vs 4 arenas, as well as a 6 vs 6 and a 12 vs 12 MOBA style mode as well. Guilds will also be part of the game that come with a 100 player cap and provide several perks and bonuses, and the only limitation on starting a guild is the initial fee, no level restriction as such. While the game does have some form of crafting, overall in many ways it's quite basic and doesn't really offer much as content by itself. It's almost a non-feature. So if you enjoy crafting, this MMO is most likely not for you, as there is far better on the market. The game does offer an ambassador program which allows select content creators such as myself to record and talk about the game freely, as well as offer some giveaway material. In fact, many involved have been quite vocal at what the game needs to change and do in order to be successful in some way, and Play With are hopefully listening. Which leads to the next part of the video, monetization. Now the game will be early access with a buy to play model and be sold directly over Steam. The game prices will be $12 for the basic game package, which will be literally the game and no extras. You can upgrade this package if you wish to for $23, which gives you access to the Warlords Awakening limited early access package for those that bought the $12 package and wish to upgrade. And this will come with an exclusive Black Dragon pet, a Black Ninja costume, a Firstborn title, in-game mint shouts ×20, social dance emote, and a makeover kit ×3. And then there is a complete bundle which contains the previous packages in case you want the game and all the bonus features in one, which will set you back around $30, which works out slightly cheaper than buying them separately. Now I currently feel that the $12 is quite fairly priced fee to enter the game, and the optional package is purely cosmetic for the most part. I think the game is most likely going to contain a cash shop, and there is currently an ongoing debate in regards to the VIP system that used to be in the old game. Now many of the ambassadors have shown a dislike towards a VIP system, myself included, so hopefully it won't be included in the main game. However, if they do offer a VIP system, I'm hoping it's going to be cosmetic only, and I don't think people would complain too much if it was cosmetic only, though I think some people would still prefer to see it completely removed altogether, as it is a buy to play title, even though it does have an exceptionally cheap entrance fee at $12. Overall, Warlords Awakening is an entertaining game initially, and a lot of its success and failure depends solely on Play With and its monetization decisions and what improvements they decide to make to the game. I'm fairly sure the fanbase of Elite Lords of Alliance, who were initially crushed by the game's closure, will be more than happy to see the game's return under a non-Webzone publisher, as there was a large audience in love with this game before Webzone destroyed it. If there is one thing that does annoy me with this game, is the fact that NPCs have a single voice acted line, and this voice acting line has no cooldown. So every time you interact with an NPC, well, you get this. So Play With, can you please fix this? And there is one thing for certain, that Warlords Awakening is a lot better than what Bless Online currently offers in the West, and considering Warlords Awakening is going to be around $12, it's pretty much right on the money for what this game is worth in my opinion. And finally, I'll be doing some giveaways for Warlords Awakening. All you have to do is click the link below, fill out the form along with the YouTuber's name, in this case DeathsProxy, and submit the information. That's pretty simple, right? No reason not to do it, because who doesn't like free stuff? If you enjoy my content, don't forget to like, subscribe and leave a comment below, and as always guys, thank you for watching.